Hi guys, Jared here with Day Traders FX. Hopefully you guys are having a great day and a great week. We've had some very good movement in the market this morning. A little bit of a breakout across the board. A lot of these pairs have really started to move pretty well. And there's a couple of things that we are going to talk about that could be very significant. Quickly, you can see that the markets are closed. Dow's up about 85 points, closed about 85 points up. S&P about 10. Oil's up, gold's up, everything's up. We're going to look at that chart in just a moment. We did see a lot of news over the last several hours. Retail sales out of the UK, that got the pound dollar moving like crazy. We had a little bit of US news, and the next thing coming up, we have the PPI out of New Zealand in about an hour. As far as tomorrow and everything that we have coming up then, we have the CPI for Canada, and then we have the preliminary University of Michigan consumer sentiment. So not a huge report for the U.S., but should be enough to get things hopefully scooting just a little bit. Okay, so this all happened this morning. We had this nice little trend line here. We had some nice little levels and so on. The euro dollar dipped all the way down, and then it made this big run, and it exhausted its daily range pretty well. There's about 118 pips or so, and it's about 125 pip, kind of, under fairly normal circumstances, maximum movement. And so that was a good little mover today. Remember, our 123.15 has been very important. We talked about it today. We had a UK trade on it just the other day, just yesterday, and it moved down very nicely. And then things just kind of chopped around for a few hours, and then now we're back up above this, and we're just in this range. You can see that the euro dollar is really kind of just bumping around. It seems to be wanting to stay a little bit below this 12400, but still wants to stay above about 12250. So it's kind of in this 150 pip, I don't know what to do with myself kind of situation here. And it's been like that for a couple of weeks. And so we're going to kind of see how things go. You can see on this 4-hour chart right here that things are, that the euro dollar is bouncing up this trend line very nicely. Now, one thing that I'm starting to get a little bit curious about is as we approach, we are in the middle of August still, so we've got a little bit of time potentially to go, but markets start to pick some trend right about now. And we may not see a huge breakout just yet, but post-summer breakouts should start kind of getting there just a little bit. So keep that in mind. As far as our fib levels go on this daily chart, you can see that about 124.7580 is our 61.8% fib, and is a nice little area to target, just under 12500. But I think that we might start to get a little bit of a break. I think we might see this euro. It's really been consolidating. It's hit some lows here. It's been consolidating. Looks like it might be able to break up and start heading back to the upside. So we're going to be looking for that. We'll be keeping our eyes out for that for sure. There's not a ton to do right now. I do like if the euro dollar can give us a little bit of a dip. I don't hate the idea of buying down towards this 123.1520 area. So about 30 or so pips of retracement could potentially be very good. And so I'm looking at that as a possible entry and so on. So just right around this level. This level's been very important all week long, and if we can get back close to it, within range, within probably 10 pips, so anywhere between 123.15, 123.25 in that general area, I would be interested in buying this pair and taking it back up through these highs, because I think it will come down and probably bounce and probably give us a little bit of movement there. So I'm just going to be watching that and looking for that on the euro dollar. So keep that in mind. If it doesn't retrace at all, which I'd be a little surprised, I don't think I'm going to do too much with it just yet. If it does, run up into some of these highs here and maybe approaches 12400, we'll be looking for a couple of things like, some reversal patterns, some shooting stars, some pin bars, whatever we can get to kind of turn this thing around just a little bit. And I'll be keeping an eye out for that. But for the moment, I'm looking to kind of buy on the dip, and that's where I think a 123, 15, 20, 25 entry could be pretty good to buy and take the pair back up. And of course, we'll have some more specifics as the market kind of goes on and as things carry on and as we get closer into the UK session. Here was retail sales right here for the UK. Came out much better than expected. Last month's numbers were revised better than expected as well. Now the pound dollar, this one is getting very interesting. Very super interesting, in fact. And I'm looking at a couple of details on this guy right here, and that is is this pound dollar possibly ready to break as well? It just broke a 2-week high. This was 2-week high right here. We made a nice clean break of that right around 157.15-ish and kind of beyond. But you can see that we've got some pretty intense resistance right at this 50% fib. From this high to this low, we have a 50% fib at 157.85. 157.85, and you can see that the pair is currently trading at about 157, 35. So it's not really that far off. Another 50 pips or so, and we're going to be right at some major resistance here. And this pound dollar took a big, strong run down, big bounce, and then it's continually been creating higher lows. This is consolidating up. This is really just a perfect setup for a breakout up into this 15900 area, which is our 61.8. So we could potentially have some very nice pips above this level. Again, on the pound dollar, what I would look for is a little bit of retracement. I think we may have enough. We may have enough support at 15700 to buy on the dip at 15700 and pick it up on the dip. I feel pretty good about that, and I think we can get some good pips on that. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. 15700 buy on the dip. And take it back up. Otherwise, unless we can get a nice break back below 156.50, the pair remains very, very bullish. So not an immediate entry on that one. And it's always tough when we have these kind of big, strong movements because it turns into, waiting for some retracement, waiting for a better setup, that kind of a thing. Euro yen has been doing a pretty good job here. It's been bouncing up this trend line as well. It's following the euro dollar very nicely. They're matching up pretty well. Same thing from this little double top Fibonacci level all the way down to this bottom here. You can see that it's a good little chunk of pips, about 700 pips. The euro yen has just broken above the 50%. It's just opened on the daily chart above the 50% fib, which is 97.75. 97.75. So 61.8 is at 98.60. You can see that it's currently trading right at about 9,800. And I think we've got a very, very good, reasonable chance to make it up into that 98.60. So all of these pairs are going to be buying on the dips. I like the euro yen right around pretty much where the daily pivot is almost on all of these pairs. Is where I like the buy opportunity. Euro dollar maybe just a little lower than the daily pivot, but buying off that daily pivot on the euro dollar. Pound dollar, buying off that pound dollar daily pivot right here, which is just a slight bit above 15700. So again, I like a buy at about 15700. This is about 157.05. Euro yen, same thing. I like a buy off this daily pivot. A little dip here. Everything needs to retrace about 20 to 30 pips, which is definitely not unheard of. Could easily happen in this UK session. So I like a buy opportunity off this 97.75 area. I think we've got good opportunities for all of these pairs up into those levels, and so that's kind of what I'm looking for. Looking to have happen on several of these guys here. So that's what we're going to be keeping our eye out on, and I think we've got some very, very good opportunities and some good chances to do that. So far so good, looking very, very good. And then Aussie dollar, we're actually currently in this Aussie dollar. We got in just down here in this area down here below the daily pivot and so on, and we rode it up nicely, and we're just hanging on to this thing for a little bit longer. I think the break of this trend line is going to be very significant. This 4-hour trend line that has really, and actually it's more of a daily channel. This daily channel is held in very nicely. This thing topped out at 10600. It's pulling back quite a bit, and then it's kind of bottomed out right here and given us at least a short-term bottom, and it's broken this trend line, and I think we've got, probably 80 or 90 pips worth of movement here. So once again, if we can stay above this daily pivot here, which is about 105, 03, 04, somewhere in that general area, that still leaves us with some decent profit. And then if it can bounce and continue on up there, I think we're headed into 10600. I'm looking for that to happen. And then last but not least, we talked about gold several times in the levels: 1605, 1625, 1630, 1530. These are all important levels, and we got a very nice break above 1605, and this thing has kind of double topped a little bit right here at about 16, 16, 16, 18, kind of in that general area. Now our next step is going to be to actually get a 1-hour candle opening above 1625, and we should see a run through 1630 at that point, which I think we will. And I will definitely be waiting for some pips and looking for some pips to happen there. So that's kind of where we are on all of these trades and all of these setups. It's a lot of buying on the dips. I think these runs are going to hold. If we had a bunch of reversals and things coming way back down, I would be sincerely shocked. I think it's reversal time, or excuse me, I think it's time to buy on the dip, and I think these trends are going to hold up very nicely. So keep an eye on these levels and these entries. Best of luck, and I'll have some more detailed setups coming out through Twitter and in the chat for the group members as the day goes on. Thanks a bunch, everyone. Take care.